Paul was run down while walking to get the mail. Christopher Rice, the man accused of killing him, has a documented history of mental illness and violent attacks on neighbors. He was under a court-ordered commitment, but our investigation finds he fell into a gap in Minnesota law that left him in the community without effective treatment or supervision. Rice's social worker filed a notice of intent to revoke his provisional discharge due to concerns for his safety and the safety of the community. It did not happen fast enough. The very next day,
this is going to be a person hit by a vehicle.
Paul Pfeifer was run down. The irony? Paul himself lived with mental illness. So Joseph wants to make this point clear.
The vast majority of people that are mentally ill are not dangerous. That's an absolute fact. Vast majority. But some of them are. One of them killed my husband.
Rice told police voices in his head told him the person by the mailbox had done something bad to his mother and to hit the victim with his car, which he did. Rice was charged with murder. He's again been found incompetent to go to trial.
This is a much bigger problem than just my husband being killed. And that's a huge problem all on its own.
Right now, the legislation that's been introduced would create what are known as forensic navigators, a person whose job it is to help bridge the gap between mental health and criminal justice for people who get into that area where they have mental health issues and they're also dealing with something with criminal justice, where right now they fall into a gap and it's nobody's job to really help them.
The gap benefits nobody. Not the person who in crisis commits the crime, and certainly not the victims and those they leave behind. That is why Joseph told the story of the worst day of his life.
It's life and death. The gap is about everybody dancing around, nobody wanting to take responsibility for it.
You hear him calling 911 as his husband's dying. That was not easy for him to listen to on the news, but he thought it was important so that the rest of the state can get a better understanding of what's going on so that we can say the time is now to fix this.
This next piece of legislation that we'll sign revamps our state's competency statutes, and the whole focus on this is to make sure that we are addressing the needs, especially as they intersect with the criminal justice system, on the mental health needs.
The legislation that we passed with 3 minutes to go on the last night of session literally not only will save lives, but it will restore lives.
I think a lot of times here at the legislature, we talk about where we don't agree. But this is one thing where Representative Albright and I did agree. And I do want to acknowledge too, Paul Pfeifer, Joseph, your husband passed away yesterday, a year ago. Yeah. And I want to thank you for your courage to be here. This legislation will save lives. And what it took to get it done was quite remarkable. And the story behind the scenes was one that probably will never be told. But I want to thank everybody for all of your courage, the courage that it took to get this bipartisan work done.
This is what happens when people put aside issues and solve a problem that really needed to be solved. And good policy comes from it.
To Joseph, thank you for your courage for being here, and our deepest sympathies on your loss. And I continue to stand in amazement at Minnesotans who take tragedy and turn it into a positive, and then listening to these talented legislators talk about what they did together, it is a hopeful thing. So I proudly sign this. Great work. There you go.